it's Amelie and welcome to Just Practicing. So today for this live stream, I'll be practicing Telemann Fantasia No.4. And yes, so we will go through it. It's part of a project, so I have recorded all those fantasies and my album is available on musaji.com if you want to get it. And also when you get the album, you get the music, and it's my own edition with slurs, articulations, ornaments. I added ornaments in some places and when there's repeats, and also some dynamics, because when you get the earth text, which is the way the composer wrote it in the Baroque era, composers didn't write much, so the musicians had to add their own. And so yeah, so just so it's more, how would I say, easy to more accessible, than to add your own yourself. You can get that. And so I will do a little warm-up. I haven't played in a few days even. Okay. So that's in B flat major. I'll just do a bit of articulation. So if you have questions, it's a live, so just ask them and I'll try to answer them. Okay, so andante. Andante, it's a bit like a walking pace. So bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, da, da. It's in 4/4, but when you start learning it, you can learn it as if it was the 8/8, like 8 notes per measure, because by thinking it in 8 notes, it's going to be more precise. And once you get to a certain speed, you can go back to feeling it in a pulse of a quarter note. Let's see. I need new batteries in my. It's working. Let's say I play it once with that be like at 72 per 8 note. When you have a slur like that, 2 notes slurred, the first note is a bit more emphasized and the second one is a bit softer, and mostly when you do slurs like that, that's what you do. I continue. Of big jumps, and you can see that almost as 2 flutes answering each other. Okay, so you have a bass and you have a higher melody, so try to think of it like that. Also try not to move too much, because sometimes people overreach, they think they have to work very, very hard to get to the low note, or I see students doing this when they go down in register, they lower their head. It's not going to help. It's going to make the angle wrong and the sound's not going to come out. So keep it pretty stable. Okay, I'll continue at measure 10 at the second beat of measure 9. Yeah, 9. Okay, so even though I was putting the metronome per 8 note, at first you can really feel it like this, but then eventually you can group, even if your metronome, whoops. Oh, 1 second. Okay, well, even if it's going tack, 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 you hear the subdivision, but you group it as in a group of 2, you know. And also the dynamics that I have chosen, you don't go to it's more about changing the color than really a dynamic. And also sometimes it's about, you know, when he repeats a motive many times, I start softer and then I build on and I just make it louder each time that thing comes back, you know. Maybe I could play it one last time. Okay. From the top. Again, that's better because it went like when you have those little zigzags, it's a mordant, so it's just one cling, one trill, you know. In Baroque music, when you do trills, we tend to start on the top note. There's exceptions, but that's the main way of doing it. Okay, just 1 second. I'll just check something. Okay, so the allegro. When you start it, obviously don't start too fast. And the 16th notes, you'll have to do them double tonguing. So you can start by doing ta 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 and then switching to taka taka when it gets faster. But I think that it could be a good idea to start with double tonguing even when you do it slowly, so that that type of choreography between the tongue and the fingers is learned at the same time, and it might help, especially if you're not super comfortable with double tonguing. It's going to be an opportunity to work on it, you know, to practice it. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll play it once, not too fast with the metronome, so you can hear where the beats are and everything, and then I might stop in some spots. So let's see. Allegro could be around. Okay, around 112, 116 could work, but then maybe, so it's just as a exercise. And even that might be too fast to begin with, you know. I know this piece already. So just start slowly, because it's better to learn to do it slowly, and so that the rhythm is all the same, you know, like that, your beat is stable and everything, and you learn all the right notes. Another thing is, you don't have to learn everything at once. Go by little section. When you get tired and you learn bad notes, then you have to unlearn and relearn. That's not efficient. So make sure that when you practice, you divide the learning process into small steps, you know, depending on, once you know all your chords and your arpeggios and all that stuff and scales, it's a bit faster to learn music, because you don't learn each note. You see a pattern and you just play the pattern, but you have to respect where you're at, you know. Okay, so I'll play that. 2, 3. I have to say, here is the syncopation. Syncopation is when you start on the low, on the weak part of a beat, and you finish the note on a strong part of a beat, and it's like ta ta ta. You give it a little accent, you know, because it brings a little bit of tension, and we like to show it. So yeah, 3, 2, 3. You see here, I don't do both notes the same, and try to resist the urge to do this. I hear that sometimes in students, because it's easier to play loud in the high register, so we tend to go da 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 da, but that's on the upbeat, so we want the downbeat to be obvious, you know, so you go pom 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 pom. So the low note is stronger, and the high note is like kind of feel it. I imagine it a bit as a resonance of the low note, so like this. You can practice it slurred like this. Start by 2, and then okay, and remember that the first note of the measure will be like the strong beat, really the strongest note, and then you go 1, 2, 3, but the end's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. You know, if you follow that, it's gonna help your phrasing a lot. From there, 22, 2, 3. when you see the zigzag with the line in it, it's mordent that goes down. So you go B flat, A, B flat. That's it, just that. Yeah, at measure 37, I would slur it by 3. I think it's just a little thing that I didn't see in the, you know. Okay. Let's see. Maybe I could play it a bit faster. When you practice that, you know, there's many ways of practicing. So you start slowly. You increase the speed gradually with your metronome. You learn by little, like, you don't learn the whole movement at once. Let's say you do 1 line or 3 lines in one day, and then you do a little revision and you learn another 2-3 lines the next day and all that. And then there's other ways too. You can practice I like doing that, practicing everything slurred and then everything detached, and then doing rhythms, you know. So like, let's say if I do the beginning all slurred. The reason why I like doing that is that even when we tongue, we should keep the same airstream, you know, have support. When we tongue, we should play as if we were with the same support as if we were slurring. So sometimes I like doing that, you know, and then whoops. What you can do as well is all your tongued double 16th notes, instead of doing taka 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 taka, you go kata 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 kata. So this way, when you do it the other way, it's easier, and you can just practice them like. Then you go to the next one. You see, I do it in a. I don't do just 3 as it's written. I just do it in a loop. So you can do that. Also, when you realize that there's a little part in the music that you don't know as well as the rest, don't practice the whole thing. Just practice that part. Let's say I want to practice measure. Let's say I want to practice measure 51 because it's difficult for me. Then I could practice it with different rhythms like this. Then, so the first time I did long, short, long, short, long. Then I did short, long, short, long. Then I can stop on the beat. Then I can stop on the last note before the beat. Then I can do. Then I can do it slowly. Then I do 1 measure before, 1 measure after. You know, and I add the tonguing. Then you have to also identify, what is my difficulty? Is it the articulation? Is it the fingering? Is it, and then you can really work on that specific aspect. If there's more than one, you can work on one aspect at a time as well. So where was I? I was around, maybe I could play the whole thing and then I'll continue. sharp, but I'll still write it down F natural so I don't do it again. I'll go from 33. And so if I was going to play that in a concert or anything like that, I would practice everything slowly, pretty much as much slow as I would practice fast, you know, so that I'm in control. Because when we play slowly, we can't bluff, you know. It has to be, when we play fast, sometimes we can some people tend to skip a note or not be very equal in the technique, or accelerate, decelerate, stuff like that, and we don't notice too much. When you do it slowly, you'll hear everything, so it's going to help you be more in control, more precise. And with a metronome, it's even better. I know that some students tell me that they don't like the metronome because the metronome makes them make mistake. I don't think the metronome makes us make mistake. The metronome shows us our mistakes that we were not noticing without it. And so, yeah, because without it, maybe you were changing the speed. You were playing fast when it's easy and slow when it's hard. And now the metronome's telling you, hey, you're doing that. And you're like, no, I was not doing that. You're making me do that, you know. But the metronome has no feelings. It's just telling you the truth. So it's like, it's a good thing to learn how to work with that. And yeah, so that's my little metronome spiel for today. Let's do the presto. So I think it in 2 beats per measure. But when you start it, thinking it's better to do it in 4 beats. And you see that above the staff, sometimes there's a second staff. That's what we call an osaya. It means just another, like, also. It's another word and another way of playing it. And so those are ornaments that I wrote there, that I composed, you know, or whatever. I just decided on those ornaments and wrote them there. So when I do the repeat, I will play those ornaments. So if you learn it and you want to do that, that's kind of the tradition. The first time you play it the way it's written. The second time you do it a bit differently so that it stays interesting. You can also just decide to change the dynamics, or you can do other types of ornaments and you can completely change that, because it's just mine. It's not the composer's. So do what you want with that. Okay, so let's say, just so you hear the rhythm clearly with the metronome, slowly I'll play it once, not too fast. Let's say 84 per quarter note. 3, 4. sorry. I just added a little thing. Here there's a fermata. Is there a fermata? There's no fermata there. I'm very sorry about that. Just remove it. Okay. Let's continue. You see here it's really two voices. Da 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 da. Bum bum ba da da. Repeat. Okay. And also maybe you notice, but I try not to vibrate too much because in Baroque music we say we shouldn't vibrate, but I think it's not a it should not be a dogma either, because sometimes I feel like when I don't vibrate at all and I really force myself not to, sometimes I get other types of problems. Like I feel like sometimes I get a bit flat, or I some notes feels like there's something missing when I do that. So obviously I'm not going to play it as if it was a romantic piece with a lot of vibrato, but I'm not also going to completely force myself to never vibrate any note. But I keep that in my mind that I'm trying not to. Let's say it like that. Okay. You know, so yeah, you wouldn't play it like, you see, that's too much. But just on the last note here and there, I put a little bit. It's all a question of taste, you know, but that's more in style not to vibrate for Baroque music. Is there any question?
No, everyone likes it.
Good, everything is good. Okay, so let's do this. I'll play it once a bit faster. at measure 30, I just saw a little thing. The second beat, it's C, D instead of C, E. So just so people know. Okay. Let's see. I don't know it's a presto, but I tend to play it a bit slower, but I like it like that. Whatever. You know, you do you. You see here, if I'm really practicing, I would go back to the beginning of that line because I made a mistake. Whoops. While I'm here, you see, I tried to give a little accent on the first note of the beat. Same thing is applied for this piece. Start slowly, then increase gradually. You can also play with recordings. You can record yourself. That's a good way also to practice and listen to yourself with you know, when you listen to yourself, be as nice with yourself as you would be with another person. So you wouldn't just say bad stuff to another person. You would tell them what's beautiful. So do that with yourself as well. You know, tell, oh, this is good now. My next thing that I need to work on is this, and that. Not just seeing the defects, you know. You want to see also your improvement and all that stuff, because we need to be nicer with ourselves. Maybe for a lot of people that can be a resolution for next year to be nice with ourselves. So I think that's pretty much it for me today. Any question? No? Okay, so, well, I hope this was helpful. If you liked it, please like it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And remember that we have the website musogy.com, musogy.com, and on that website you can find this album with the music. You can find my methods, my flute methods, and other things. We also have some merch that's pretty cool. And I give lessons online or in person, but mostly online, it's easier. So you can email us at info at theflutechannel.com if you want to know more about that. And we also have our Patreon. And if you patron us, that's how we say that?
Sure.
If you patron us, then you get all our videos without ads. And you get to be our patron, which is amazing. And so thank you everyone for following our channel, and that's amazing to have this community and to be able to share music with you guys. And I hope that you get to play a lot and that you have fun learning this piece, and see you next time.